Hello. So we are back in the practice files for the chapter on working with Excel and Python, and we're in file number 7 with formatting and fonts. So there's a lot that you can do in here. I'm just going to show you some basic stuff like how to bold and how to change the width of some columns. So up until now we've just been doing import openpyxl, but inside of this there's also a styles library, and we're going to import the font class just to make it this is the way that you need to change fonts, like adding bold or changing what the typeface is, stuff like that. So then we have some code that's just putting in some dummy data into a workbook that we'll create, and then we'll alter some fonts here, and then we'll look at it afterwards. So let's say we want to let's just change cell A1 and make it bold in whatever the active sheet is. So we'll say my workbook.active, let's get cell A1, and it has a font attribute, this cell. And if we want to change it, we need to set it equal to a font object. And font objects have a lot of different instance variables basically that you can alter. One of these is bold, so we're just going to set that bold equal true. And let me actually go to the bottom. Oh, it's already actually written for me. So I'm going to save this as example 07. So I'm just going to run the code, and we should be able to see the results of this. Let's look here. Okay, so we should get example 07. One thing to note too is that if we click in here, you can't really tell when something is bolded when you're looking at this preview right here. So anytime you want to see formatting, just make sure you're actually looking at it inside of an actual Excel file. And when we do that, we can then see that, yes, A1 was in fact bolded compared to the other ones. So that's our first look there. Let's jump back over here and see what else we can do. So this is how you can change the font for any specific cell. And because .font is an attribute of cells, not of rows or columns, if you want to change the font of several cells, like an entire range, you're going to need to loop through it. So you could do something like for cell in, let's say, my workbook.active A1 to B2. You could then get that cell dot font and then set that equal to font bold equals true. So then it would bold everything from A1 to B2. So if I were to run this and then reopen it, nope. Oh, that's me being me forgetting to actually get to the cell object. So when I loop through a range, it's going to give me each row one at a time. And then I need to loop through each individual cell within each cell, or each cell within each row. So for cell and row, then I should be able to get access to the cell there and set that font equal to it. So let's try opening it up, make sure that I actually did that correctly. And there we go. So we had A1 to B2. So we looped through everything in that range, and we were able to make it work there. So there's an example of that. Let's jump back over here. So just to save time, I just give you some already provided font styles. There's a bunch of stuff you could do inside the font. I'm not going to go over all of these just for time's sake. But for example, if you wanted to make a font be italics, Times New Roman, size 20, underlined, and a different color, we are totally free to alter any of those parameters there. You can even store your font object in a variable and then just use it later. So I'm going to change the range of A3 to B3 and apply this font to it. So let's do that. Let's run that. let's make sure we save this. Or sorry, we just run it. We don't want to close it and then reopen it so we get the new saved changes. So let's reopen it again. And there we can see that we've now altered what's going on here. Okay, so let's jump back. So the point is, if you want to get crazy, you can. You can do anything you want with the fonts. Let's say you want to change the column width. So column width, you just set it equal to an integer, and that integer represents the number of characters of the standard font, which is usually Calibri size 11. And you do that using this column dimensions attribute within a sheet. So let's say we have our workbook, the active sheet. Then we can do column dimensions, and let's change the column dimensions of column A equal, or let's change specifically the width, because there can be a few things that you could change here. Let's change the width. Okay, let's set that equal to 30. So let's run that. Make sure we reopen this. And you might have noticed before when I opened this that it was kind of closed like that. Let me open it up. And it is now much wider because we changed the width of A to be bigger like that. If you want, you can also change the width to be equal to the number of characters of a specific cell. Like, let's just say, let's say we are interested in the active sheet in cell B2. We want to get the value of that, and we want to know how long the text in there is. So that'll give us the number of characters. So I don't know, length B2, you could name it whatever you want. Then you could set the width of any column. Let's just say you want to set it equal to the length of a specific cell plus some extra padding. You could do something like that to dynamically change how wide or narrow a specific cell is. So let's make sure we close out of this one. Right now you can see how thick B is. It's not very wide right there. So let's close out of it, open it up again after, let's make sure we run it. We'll go back here. And you can see it dynamically changed according to the width of B2 in this case. So, cool. And let's see, you can also adjust the height. I'm not going to go over that, but you just do, instead of column dimensions, you can do row dimensions dot height. That would work. So obviously I didn't go over everything that you can do to change the formatting, but that should give you a good basic start on stuff that you can do with this. So next time we'll look at how to add formulas to your worksheets.